out and combine it with parcel K. But here's, the planning department, we're always finding something. And part of the problem is parcel K some years ago was rezoned to downtown, and it's now zoned downtown mixed use too. And the parcel there that's going to be cut out is zoned PD. So they combine the two lots so that the parking will be on the lot and be an accessory use to that lot. It needs to be the same zoning district. So they're asking that you rezone just that portion, not the whole. Let me see, just the yellow box. That's what you're asking to be rezoned there, just that yellow box. To be rezoned to downtown mixed use. None of the other stuff would be rezoned. And once that is rezoned, then they can combine it and move forward with putting the parking in that area. The engineering department, when we reviewed the plans for the site, checked the wetlands and the distances from the ponds and that type of stuff. So this is really kind of closing that loop on parcel K that's kind of been through the network. Any questions for me?
I think that part makes sense to me. I'm curious, in the last picture, it shows like half of this is in the water. Is that
and part of it is.
But is that just because I'm curious myself, and I'm sure others might have questions? Are they planning on changing the lake there?
No, sir.
Okay, so that's going to stay the same. That's just how the parcel happens.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions, Mr. Paradise?
So the additional spots, in theory, be removing some trees, or we're allowed to do that? Because when we look at the topo, like the satellite one,
yes, that
where does it go?
That they're going to need to move some trees. That's more or less what it looks like, but that's the last one I got. But there will be some tree removal and some grading in there. But we did do the plan review when it came through with parcel K. So really the parking lot's been through the site plan review already. And it's going to be 3 or 4 spaces. Mr. Young is here from the developer, Brooks Young. I don't really remember exactly how many parking spaces, but it's like 3 or 4. It just makes up that little bit of gain that they would have made from the perpendicular parking along Lafayette.
All right, if there are no other questions for Mr. Paradise, we'll ask the applicant to come forward.
Brooks Young, 2316 Betty Ann Court, Atlanta, Georgia. And Tommy, thanks for the intro there. I mean, you really outlined it very well what we're trying to do here. If you all will recall, on parcel K, when we came through for the rezoning there, this was actually shown as part of that plan. This parcel was a separate land seller, so we did not close on it at the same time as parcel K. That's why it's kind of lagged behind and why we're in front of you now. But Tommy, he laid it out really well there. The intent and the reason we were doing this is to maintain design intent within the village, whereby it's just parallel spaces, no head-in parking. So in order to maintain that, we made a deal with Hammond's Ferry to purchase a little lot there you see behind K and build the 6 parking spaces that we would have lost going from head-in to parallel spaces along Lafayette. And to the tree question, there will be some trees impacted, but it's mostly brushy, kind of scrubby stuff in the part we are talking about. We are maintaining all buffers to the pond, so the big pretty oak trees that are in the buffer on the pond, we won't be touching any of that.
Any questions?
Will those 6 spots be reserved for the residents of Hammond's Ferry or of the Parcel K unit?
They will be for parcel K, for the residents of parcel K.
Any other questions for the applicant at this time? Okay, we're gonna have a public hearing, so if you could have a seat and then we'll ask the public to come forward. Okay. All right, so again, we're opening this up now for public hearing. If there's anyone from the public who has any questions or comments, please come forward to the microphone, give your name and address, and again, we ask that you keep your comments to about 2 minutes. All right, there being no responses, we are closing the public hearing portion. All right, commissioners, thoughts, motion, and it's for a recommendation to City Council.
Yeah, I make a motion to recommend this to council. I don't see a big problem with it.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, there being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have a text amendment, which is a request to amend the allowed signage to remove the use of neon tubing from downtown mixed use 1 and 2. Tommy.
And this is, while I signed the application, I signed it on behalf of the Planning Commission. This was a request from the June meeting that the Planning Commission had, is to bring a text amendment back for regarding the deletion of allowing neon tubing in the downtown mixed use and mixed 2. This is just proposed wording. The Planning Commission, if y'all want, you can approve it, you can disapprove it, you can change it. This was just, whenever I looked at the code, I thought it would work and get what I thought y'all's intention was. But this, I do remind y'all that this is a Planning Commission action request, not staff's.
Are there any questions for Mr. Paradise or concerns or changes to the requested text amendment or further discussion? Okay, there being none, is there a motion for the proposed text amendment to be read? Go ahead.
Do you want to ask if the public wants to say anything?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I skipped that part. I'm thinking that was just us. Are there any questions from the public or comments? Okay. All right, there being none, we'll end the public hearing portion. All right, commissioners, now, is there any questions or further discussion for the consideration of the text amendment? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for to recommend City Council to change that text.
To read, if you don't mind reading.
The text amendment to amend section 9.6.3.2.c, allowed signage of North Augusta Development Code, to remove the allowed use of signs in which the letters or graphics are constructed of neon tubing in the downtown mixed use 1 and downtown mixed use 2 zoning districts.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. We are moving on to major subdivision preliminary plat, a request by CSRA Development for PP2 4-002 Hawks Vista. All right, Mr. Paradise.
This is, as you see, this is 2 parcels. Smaller one zoned R7, the larger one zoned R5. And it's a long, rather thin parcel. There you guys, trying to get the layout for you. It's 10.67 acres. It's on East Buena Vista. It's primarily R5 with a portion of R7. The developer's looking at putting 69 single-family attached homes and one duplex. There will be a connection to, I think it's East Avenue. You see the connection there in the back. They'll be making that. That is something that staff has pushed for. The applicant received a variance from the BZA in 2023. So you see where I've got my old code book here. This is in the old code. From the minimum lot width for the R7 residential zoning district to allow the proposed lots to vary in size from 20 feet to 40 feet, with approximately 20 of the 69 lots being 20 feet wide. In reviewing this, they would need several waivers for the design they're looking for. One is from table 14-2, maximum block length of 950 feet. And I got my streets wrong, it's Elm Street. And part of that is because you have the connection with Elm, that reduces the block length and really provides a secondary entrance for both this development and Elm Street, if something were to happen to the entrance there. They also need a waiver from 7.2 multifamily residential design, specifically 7.2.4.2 and 7.2 regarding vehicle parking areas, and 7.2.5 concerning garages. And the waiver for the parking area says that vehicle parking areas should not be located in the front setback or between any structure, including a building's porch or porches and an adjacent sidewalk or street. Parking may be provided in the side or rear yard. And when you look at the linear, the way the lot's laid out, we talked with the developer in putting a back alley in for back access. The number, when I say numbers, I think of money. The distances wouldn't work. I don't believe they would work. When you fit that in there and took that out of lot size on each side, 20 feet, that would push everything in. And then the garage purpose, that is basically, the street, the percentage of the length of the street facing the garage less than 20% of the length of the building facade. Is that they've got the garages facing the street. That is, a large portion of the front facade of the home. In talking with the developer today, there was some discussion about what if he deleted the garages, and that may be an option. It may not be, but then you still have the cars that would be parking in the front. So those are the waivers that would be needed, and there's several conditions there that if you approved it, and that maximum block length by table 14.2, you approve both of the waivers, and we recommend the conditions of the approved waivers only apply to this phase of the subdivision and will not apply to any future development on the site should this plan not be developed. If the site plan is substantially revised, the site plan and any additional waiver will require planning commission approval as determined by the planning director. In other words, it's just for this plan. The approval includes the certification and the use of the road name Bold Hawk Lane. That is part of the approval as well, naming the street. And then the catch-all Final approval of the major subdivision preliminary plat application will be granted by staff when the plans are in substantial compliance with the requirements of North Augusta Development Code and any proposed conditions recommended by the Planning Commission in regard to the waiver request. And I will tell you that, as far as meeting the regulations, that's not a problem. It's the nickel dime stuff we're down to now, or it would not be before y'all. Do you have any questions for me?
Driveways in this plan don't match up with the elevations as far as the sidewalks going in. Is this an older concept? Let's just have a sidewalk going up with like maybe a double parking pad up front. No way to get into the garage based on that drive that's submitted. Such,
Yeah.
I don't know if they were planning on getting rid of those driveways or getting rid of the garages or.
I'd ask the developer.
Okay. All right. So if there are no other questions from Mr. Paradise at this moment, we'll have the developer come up, and then if you have plenty of time for questions from Mr. Paradise. All right.
Keith Lawrence, excuse me, 656 Bent Creek Drive, Evans, Georgia, 30809. Your question, sorry, Rhett, was related to the site plan not matching up. The site plans do. It's probably just a glitch on the plans. Our plan was, and let me drop back on the waivers real quick. Which is, unfortunately, the width of this property as you're driving into the site is we've got those lots about 100 foot deep, and then you've got the wall and you got the buffer, and so there's absolutely no way to put an alley on the site. We looked at could you do single family on there, but again, 100 foot deep lot wouldn't work for single family either on that side. So the townhomes, when we came back for the rezoning in front of you for you guys, that's why we proposed the front entry garages. And when talking with Tommy, I know there was some concern. I mean, if we wanted to look at say 20% couldn't have garages, I think that would be up to you guys. But we would still have the parking pad in the front on those for sure on there. I particularly like the garage because it gives a chance, whether people park in there or not, there's that opportunity to get that car off the street, which we particularly like, but I think we would be open on that side. We would have loved to have done this with alleyways. I think they look better. It's better street facade. But on this particular one, I don't think it was impossible on there. We worked really hard to get that second connection, which was part we worked out before the rezoning. But I think it gives a good flow through there, and I think the block width, there's actually no other point for another connection to shorten that block length on this one on there. But we would have driveways, we would have sidewalks on that side that would connect to the houses. And even if we did, even if you guys decided that you would like to see less garages, I think there's still going to be that parking pad in front on that side. And we'd just appreciate if you guys, considering the waiver requests and the construction plans as well.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like for us to know about this site?
No, we've just been working hard to get it. I think it's going to be a great project for the city of North Augusta. This is not a build for rent. This is a for sale product. I'll just say that right off the bat on that side.
What price point are you all thinking about?
I don't know that we'll get below 270. There'll be 270 and above if I had to guess, based on construction and everything else on that.
And everything would be 2-story. No thoughts on 1-story to get a lower price?
We would love to, but we couldn't get them with a 20-foot width. You really got to have about a 26 to do the 1-story. And then what we found is most of the 1-story ones that are being built are 2-bedroom, probably 1,200 square feet, and then the price point on those is around $220, $225 on there. We think that this location's, I think the buyers are going to want a little bit more because, I think it's a great location, close to everything on that side. We're working on it for a while on this project.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Lawrence at this time? Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you
We're
very
going to
much.
open it up and then proceed. All right, at this moment, we'd like to open it up for the public. Are there any questions or comments with regards to this application? All right, there being none, are there any other questions for Mr. Paradise? Or comments, discussion? Okay, is there a motion? And please, if you're making a motion, please be mindful to include the conditions as listed, and if there are any additional conditions, please share those at that time as part of your motion.
We got it all.
Oh, sorry, I thought I had the button. Y'all gonna have to learn to do some of this stuff now. I will make a motion to recommend, let me find the number here. This is gonna be PP 24-002 Hawks Vista, major subdivision preliminary plat, and approving the waivers for the maximum block length permitted by table 14-2. Sorry. Street design criteria for local street elements of 7.2 multifamily residential design, including sections 7.2.4.2 vehicle parking areas and 7.2.5 garages. And the conditions would be the approved waivers apply only to this phase of the subdivision and will not apply to any future development on the site should this plan not be developed. If the site plan is substantially revised, the site plan and any additional waivers will require Planning Commission approval as determined by the planning director. This approval includes certification of the use of the road named Bold Hawk Lane. And then final approval of major subdivision preliminary plat application will be granted by staff when the plans are in substantial compliance with the requirements of the North Augusta Development Code and any proposed conditions recommended by the Planning Commission in regard to the waiver request. It's a mouthful.
It is. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? And only one comment I should have made before, which is I appreciate the connectivity. So I think in trying to figure out how to make the best of this lot, I appreciate the connectivity so that we have a couple ways in and out. I understand we may have to give some things for that. All right. That being said, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Thank you. All right. And so we have a major subdivision preliminary plat for PP 25-001. Mr. Paradise, anything you'd like for us to know about this application?
Yes, ma'am. This is Alidade, Section 1B. It's 47.3 acres in zone plan development. Y'all are probably pretty familiar with the name Alidade. It's been before you several times. The current application is for Section 1B of the Alidade Plan Development for the major subdivision. And the subdivision request includes 88 single-family detached lots in Tract E of the plan development. The density will be 1.86 dwelling units per acre, and 15 dwelling units per acre is allowed. Just as background, the applicant has previously been approved for Section 1A of the Alidade Plan Development, which is 230 single-family detached homes and 324 townhomes. That's located in Tracts C and D of the plan development. A recommendation, based on the recommendation of the traffic impact analysis that Kimberly Horn did, that the planning department will require a signal warrant analysis once 300 lots have been platted. This development is in conjunction with Section 1A, Phases 1 and 2, and expected to yield 271 lots. Any questions? Let me get this down here to where it's at.
Okay, and just because I don't remember seeing it, are they predicted to get to the 300? I guess how many over the 300?
Not with this.
Okay, so,
Once they get to 300 lots, we won't approve anything past that until they do the signal warrants on the intersection there on Beaverdale Clearwater Road.
okay, so I'll ask the developer, I guess, about the next phase. Okay, about the projected.
And remember, yeah.
Okay. I'll ask,
Let
okay,
that go.
all right. All right, if the applicant could please come forward.
Bert Fine, Cranston Engineering, 452 Ellis Street, Augusta, Georgia. This is Section 1B of the Alladade Development, and it's relatively straightforward. Proposing 88 lots on 47 acres, and it is the first portion of the 163 acres located south of Old Sutherland Lake Road that's proposed to be developed. This is a pretty straightforward subdivision, but the overall development has a lot of moving parts, so happy to answer any questions you all may have.
I guess I just had a question around the timing, and I guess if this is going to get to 271, any thoughts on when you all will hit? So I'm assuming the next phase will put you into the 300. Is there?
Yes, so Section 1A and Section 1B will be constructed. The developer's goal is to have two contractors working on either section simultaneously on either side of the road. And Section 1A is much larger and will take about 4 years to complete construction. And it's broken into 4 separate phases of construction. So once phases 1 and 2 of 1A Section 1A get constructed along with Section 1B, we will be at 277 lots, at which we will have to conduct a signal warrant analysis at the schools at Buchanan Parkway and Belvedere Clearwater Road, where the school's entrance was constructed, to determine if a signal is needed at that time. Based on the assumptions made in the traffic study, we expect a signal to be required after 300 lots. But assumptions made on schools, growth and the traffic generated there, as well as how many homes will be occupied at that time, is not known, and the DOT would prefer not to have a signal in place if it's not required, so we will run another warrant analysis at that time.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, Mr. Fine, you can have a seat and we'll open it up to the public and then may call you back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, are there any questions or comments from the public? Okay. There being none, any conversation or consideration of a motion at this time, please? Please remember to turn your mic on.
Alrighty, I'll make a motion to approve,
PP 25.
yes, the PP 25-001 Alladade Section 1B. The conditions will be, this approval includes certification of use of the road names Upland Drive, Footland Hills Drive, and Rimrock Run, based on the recommendation of the TIA prepared by Kimberly Horn. The planning department will require a signal warrant analysis once 300 lots have been platted. This development, in conjunction with Section 1A, phases 1 and 2, are expected to yield 271 lots, and any outstanding technical comments will be addressed to the satisfaction of city staff.
Okay, there being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. All right, so, Mr. Paradise, we are getting to the area that I was trying to jump to earlier, which was the discussion of halo lighting. So we thank all of you all for coming who joined us for the applications if you decide to leave. But we're going to discuss halo lightings and then storage units. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. As y'all may remember, the Board of Zoning Appeals has heard several variance requests for halo lighting in the downtown mixed-use 2 zoning district, and both of them have been approved. They requested that the Planning Commission take a look at halo lighting to determine whether y'all thought it might be appropriate in the downtown mixed-use 1 and downtown mixed-use 2, and if so, to make that recommendation to City Council. At the last meeting, I tried my best, but lighting is a limited knowledge source of mine. So we have Ms. Heather Dye. She's with AAA Signs here tonight, and I think I'm just going to let her come up, and she can tell you about the lighting. You have a packet there on the dais of information that she furnished. A couple of them you've seen before, and just kind of go with it if that's okay with y'all.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Thank you for sharing this with us today. If you could please give your name and address.
My name is Heather Dye, and I live at 1007 Emerald Place in Evans, and I work for AAA Signs.
Thank you.
Probably want to kind of explain to them what it is.
Okay, halo lighting is you have two different types of like building signage, like you see with the swank here. You have internally illuminated channel letters, which you will see down at SRP Park over the entrance. Those are considered internally illuminated. There's a face over the front and that illuminates, but the lighting inside of the letter is what illuminates it. So halo illumination is a soft lighting that is behind a letter. We recently just did the North Augusta Public Safety Building and did several signs on the front of the building, and those are considered channel letters with halo lighting. Halo lighting can be controlled all different types of colors. You can have colors, red, green, blue, all the colors. And then even the white lighting behind the letters, there's temperatures. So you may have like a really, really soft gold halo, maybe a little bit brighter. I know in one of the pictures we did a Jiffy Lube, and the Jiffy Lube is a little bit more brighter than versus, the North Augusta Public Safety. There was another example in there for Evans Dermatology. We did that a few years ago, and that's more of a softer lighting. So there's all different types of temperatures that you can use, and like I said, different colors that can be used. We did some lighting in a plastic surgeon's office in Evans, and he wanted the multiple color. It's an interior sign, but he wanted multiple colors because he wanted it to be white at night in normal days, but then when it's Cancer Awareness Month, he wanted it to be pink, and at Christmas he usually does like green, and you can just see he has all windows in front of his building similar to that, so it just shows off from the inside. But it's a LED lighting. It's a cool lighting, so it's very cost effective to illuminate signs like this. So those are kind of the different examples. And like I said, we didn't do Brinkley's, but there's Brinkley's in the Swank, and then this one, and there's just other locations if you have questions in the future. Jiffy Lube, that tends to be their, all their locations have the halo lighting. It's a classier look, as you can tell with Brinkley's, and then down in that area, it's a nicer finish to a sign versus a sign that's, kind of bright from the inside and it looks a little bit more commercial, where the halo lighting looks a little bit more professional, a little bit more classy lighting. Any questions?
So when we had our discussion, the warmness of the light was something too, because we didn't want it like super bright white. I guess that's something, do we restrict on that? And I think our other question was lumens, like how bright, can you get, we don't want Vegas, how bright can it get? And that's where we kind of, I think those were two, maybe.
I think our vision was like, if you're coming up Georgia Avenue, we don't want to have like a purple one and a
Right.
blue one and a green one, and
Right.
then, or maybe even right next door you have someone who chose
Right.
the stark white, and then someone who
Mhm.
chose the
Mhm.
lighter,
Mhm.
softer yellow light. So what would you recommend to us? Like, can we regulate lumens and colors? I mean,
Yeah,
do you
absolutely.
recommend
Yeah.
that, or can you make any recommendations to us if we wanted to stick with just a white-ish
Right.
hue?
This Brinkley's is a more of a cool light, so it has kind of a blue hue. I know when we have Christmas trees or Christmas decorations in the yard, and you go by somebody's yard and their lights are white on like a front yard ornament, and that's just a cooler LED. Whereas then some you see are more yellow, and it's just the temperature of the lighting. I'm not quite sure how many different styles of temperatures you have, but I think the range is real broad.
Yeah.
So, it's just a matter of, if you just want to choose and pick, a certain temperature. I do know that with the North Augusta Public Safety, we illuminated the letters per the developer's request. And when we got it up there, they were like, oh, no, that's not what we thought it was. We want a different color. So we had to go take them all down and put different lighting in. And it's a more cooler light that North Augusta Public Safety has. So, yeah, there's lots of different options with the temperatures and colors and things like that.
Have you ever? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Have you ever dealt with any specific codes written in ways that would limit certain things? Because, I don't necessarily want it all to be just one color. Because
Right.
as a business owner, like Hilton Head or Hilton Head, where everything has to look exactly the same. I'm not necessarily going for that. I like to have some differentiation, but we don't want
Too much.
Right.
So it's hard. It's like, how much do we regulate without?
So I think last time we like the idea of the signs, just getting into the details of what do we allow and what do we not. Because like I said, I won't say it has to be this light and this bright and this color only.
Right.
So would you have any, being in that world, have you ever seen or would you have any thoughts on recommendations of how we might get, and again, this is just for our downtown area. So we want to keep it classy is really kind of the point.
I would just say probably a warmer light. This, like I said, this is a cooler light and it may come off as blue. You may want to stay away from that. I'm thinking the color was, it was considered 3,000 for North Augusta Public Safety. And one would be like 2,000, and that's what it's referred to as. But it also has a lot to do with the company you buy the lighting from. At AAA Signs, we build a premium product, so everything we use like car paint, basically, when we paint things, so that it stands up to the heat and the sun. And lighting, we use a premium, just kind of one of the top choices in LED lighting. It comes with a warranty. We provide a warranty because it is a good product, a labor warranty. So if there's any issues, we'll provide a labor warranty for a certain amount of time. So I think just maybe, I can get some research and get, different classes of colors and temperatures for you and pass it on to Mr. Paradise. And, I guess it's just a decision if you want to eliminate colored lighting and just make it a requirement white lighting, and then that could be very broad. It could be more yellow, it could be more blue.
Let me have a question for you on both maintenance and kind of the construction of these signs. So is it typical that a portion? So will we potentially have a light where, say, the K and the L could go out on the Brinkleys and they're individually lit, and so then it's dependent upon the business owners to replace?
Yes. Mhm.
So so each letter is individually lit.
Well, each letter typically has a line of electricity for each letter.
Okay.
I don't know, like this one here, each letter is screwed into the wall and the electrical goes through the brick and then it's housed behind the wall where all the wires are collected together. Now, in the case of the North Augusta Public Safety, they wanted something that we call a raceway, and it houses all of the electrical. So if you look at that picture, you'll see just a very fine bar up underneath the letters, and the letters are attached to it. You could probably see it more on the rendering that I provided, and that's called a raceway. And they didn't want that many holes in their brick. You know, let's say the court changes to another portion of the building 10 years down the road. You don't want 100 holes in the brick. So with a raceway, then we only have one area where all the wiring comes through and gets connected to a power source behind the wall. So there's different ways, but yes, there has been times when like a Jiffy Lube sign, maybe the eye isn't illuminating after 7, 8, 9 years. Then we just go out and repair the lighting behind that.
Can I ask a question? You said public safety was 3,000.
I'm thinking it was 3,000.
3,000 what?
Like kilowatts or
Kelvin.
yes, that's it. I'm sorry.
What is it?
Caught me off guard. Kelvin.
This one, the rendering one, it says LED light upgraded to 3,000K.
There we go. So the 3,000 was a softer, lighter color. The original ones, I believe, might have been like 2,000, and they were brighter.
If I'm not the lighting expert, but I believe Kelvin's is the temperature rating.
Yes.
We talked about different. So just like lumens is brightness, Kelvin is tone.
So the higher the temperature, the softer the light.
Yes, there's just all type of ranges, and I can send you an email tomorrow, the next day, with a range of colors. And like I said, that also depends on the quality of the light. I mean, we use Able lighting. It's the premium lighting, but we could order some from China online, and it doesn't come with any type of warranty, and they may be out in 60 days. So that you get what you pay for. So this is less maintenance for us. And like I said, the company that makes the lighting provides a 5-year parts warranty. So if anything happens within 5 years, they replace it. And then we provide a 2-year labor warranty, so we don't charge a trip charge if we have to come out in the first 2 years.
So is there, when you guys go quote, something like this, is there a recommendation on you don't want to exceed like this number of lumens? Because that, again, going back to, we don't want it too bright either.
Yeah, and that's something that when I provide a list for Tommy, I can give you your lighting temperatures, like if it's softer, if it's a brighter, it's more of a blue LED versus a softer yellow, softer white.
Like you said, if they order something from China,
right? Yeah,
you can't guarantee
right.
that it's even going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's a hard thing to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe out as Tommy, we appreciate you doing this.
Oh yeah,
This is
we enjoy
outside
it.
of your
This
day
is
job.
what we do.
But would, as Tommy, maybe we could get the specs on the North Augusta Public Safety, or Ms. Staff, you could include that so that we have that as a reference point, because that's not a
It
bad.
looks good,
That's not a bad place for us to start, because it would be leading up to that.
and it looks very nice.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that job. It turned out super nice.
Is there anything we should be asking you we're not asking you?
No, I mean, it's everything that we've just talked about is, you've got your different brands, you've got your different temperatures. You obviously can do different colors. You can even get them where they race, kind of like a Christmas tree. They can do all kinds of functions. So that might be something you
Put
do.
that on our list.
That's
Okay, that answers that question.
Well,
Steady light. That's good though.
well, But I think that we do also need to think when we think about it, not think about it in just best case scenario, but to also realize that people based on budget are going to order all kinds of
Yeah.
and that and I know sometimes with some of the less expensive ones, even replacing them
Mhm.
may or may not happen, and so folks may have to replace the entire sign. So just to be aware of those kinds.
Yeah, depending how it's built,
Yeah.
you know, it could just be one letter and that's easy to fix, but, you know, if a string of them go out, then it's difficult to locate, just kind of like the Christmas tree, you know, and you're trying to find that one bulb that.
So we appreciate you
Yeah,
and your time.
yeah, anytime, anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. So, Mr. Paradise, I think Dad's going to get you some additional information, and then we maybe start with what's done at the North
Public
Augusta
safety.
building, public safety building. Okay.
We'll do it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. And
Yes, ma'am. It is. It does. I can tell you, we what we get on the plans and what we approve, and then when it comes to lumens or whatever that other word is,
Kelvin.
you know, and measuring that can get into some difficulty for us enforcement. But that's just part of the nature of the beast.
Is there anything in there now about flashing lights or racing lights? I mean,
Yes,
I don't-
ma'am.
yeah, we do.
We don't allow flashing
Flash,
lights.
okay.
So that would cover, even if we said halo lights are okay, would that still cover, or would we need that separate wordage? in
It
there?
would. I'm sitting here thinking, from a strict interpretation, devil's advocate.
Mhm.
There's blinking lights that go off and on, off and on, off and on, and then you've got racing lights
They're never actually off.
that are never off.
Right, that's fine.
So it might be good to have a clarification in there.
We say solid.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like that happy medium of like I don't believe it's our job or your job or the government's job to completely nail down what you can do with your own property. But it is our job as a planning commission to have some guidelines to keep it from being outrageous. And so trying to find that balance of not too much control, but enough to keep it where we want it. As a business owner in downtown, like I've got to think of these things of like how much. I mean, at some point the city's just going to have to build all the businesses because you got that control anyway. So that's kind of where I'm at with even with the colors. Like I'm not really against how, like I said, I don't want all of them exactly the same. White, because then it just looks like it's all the same business. No, I also don't want red and green or pink and orange or whatever it might be. Although, like for Orange Otter, to be honest, a business that's down there, a little Orange Otter sign with orange lighting that's not super bright, I don't think it would look bad. So there's so much to think about and to figure into, and I think some of it, and I don't know how this would be in writing or on the plan, but when it does come down to, like I said, I just had to get a sign approved and they had to know the details. Could some of that be case by case in that and say we allow halo lighting and then no
We-
flashing or something?
Yeah, well, flashing lights are not allowed. They're prohibited. Just like internally illuminated is prohibited right now. But when we review the sign, when we review anything, what does the book say? And if the book says that the public can do it, then council has said this is allowed. If they say they cannot do it, then they cannot. And that's y'all's recommendation and city council's decision. Now, when you talk about signage, I always remember every time I have a conversation about signage with a group like this, what a planning commissioner stated many years ago that signage is like visual noise. And, you know, the trick is this is not his words, this is mine now, is the trick is to allow that noise, but don't let it get overpowering. What is that fair balance? And what is the individual of the different businesses, their rights, but when does their signage become so loud visually that it's impacting their neighbors? And that is why we have great minds like y'all and city council.
Yeah.
'Cause that's a tough one to go, tough standard to develop.
So I think that if you get the information, then we may need to do a separate study session and maybe invite a couple of sign providers if we have some recommendations. And I don't know if there's anywhere you would like to benchmark, if there's another municipality. But, and I will tell you, Jesse, I'm the exact opposite. I think that the colors would be a nightmare because if you, because then you have no control. So if somebody bought one side and then everybody wanted to make sure theirs stood out, while you say orange is great now, then if everybody decide, well, I want to be purple, I want to be green, I want to be right, then you got all of that, and then is that in keeping with what we've talked about with downtown being more walkable, more kind of slowing down traffic? Is that also then what we want for that area, right? So I think is it consistent with the other planning decisions that have been made about, and it's not in general, right? Because if you're passionate about having an orange or purple light, then that's not maybe the location for you, right? There are other, so it's, so I'm probably different. So, all right, but given that, if there are any other things, I think so. It sounds like maybe a more detailed work session to come with some examples, and if there's another municipality that you'd like to benchmark, then please share.
Sounds good. We'll look into it further.
Okay. All right, and then we have the mini warehouse self-storage facilities memorandum that you shared.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all had asked me to look into this and you know, possible changes. One of the things I did was looked at what we have now, and they're allowed in the general commercial and thoroughfare commercial by special exception, and they're allowed in the industrial by right. And looking at it, you know, you have a line for self-storage over here, and there's a line for warehousing, self-storage mini warehousing over here. And then another use table, you have warehousing for commercial warehousing. And that's allowed by right in the industrial and special exception in the thoroughfare commercial, but it's not allowed in the general commercial. And it is a conditional use. I have there what the conditions are. And since 2020, we've had 3 site plans for self-storage approved, 2,417 storage units, storage units, 292 under canopy spaces. These were like boats and trailers with a total of 2,709 total units. And I have those listed there for you. Mr. Bigger did note to me this afternoon that I had omitted one on here on I believe it's East Martintown. And the reason it's not on here is because it's not located in the city. That is in the county. It's a donut hole. But there is another self-storage proposed there. There's a sign out there advertising it. And I wanted to be honest with you, I was trying to figure out a way to annex them so it'd be in the city and couldn't get contiguous. But in looking at this, there's a strong correlation between the smaller houses and more storage. And we're seeing a lot of that in North Augusta with townhomes and apartments and that type of thing. 21% of renters and 25% of those that who rent single family have rental units that they use. So, that's kind of an idea of what some of the industry may be looking at. And when they look at North Augusta, of course, we've got a lot of that going on. Some of the things that we could do, or the Planning Commission could recommend if you wanted to, is distance from another self-storage facility. You can increase the pervious surface required, with 70% impervious surface in the general commercial thoroughfare and 90% in the industrial districts is what we have now. You could limit the use to the industrial district, sort of thoroughfare commercial in industrial district. You could limit, and this one was interesting, is limiting the number of buildings on a single parcel to one. That also allows for that conditioned space, large box shell, but then you don't have all the canopy storage. You could put additional restrictions from wetlands and that type of thing. I don't really see that as an issue here. We've got a 50-foot, and you could. There's currently architectural elements that you could require. They're required in the general commercial, but not in the thoroughfare or industrial. And of course, one of the things that you could do also is if you wanted to change the use table, and this is just an idea, is allow them only in thoroughfare commercial and industrial, and save the general commercial land for a higher use of business activity, whether that be restaurants, retail, whatever that may be, because they do eat up a lot of acreage.
One question I had about the options that you were just listing there, would those, if we made changes like the limiting number of buildings, would that be for only for storage units, or would that be for anybody in those zonings?
No, well, you could do it either way.
Okay.
What I'm looking at is, right now it's a conditional use. So you would put that as a condition in the conditional use. You could do that. One is, say you could do that so that it applies only in a particular zoning district. So like if it's in general commercial, you could only have one building, but you could have multiple buildings in thoroughfare commercial and industrial, or you could limit them to one building in all three. It's all in how you craft that. You've got a pretty wide latitude there.
I think I'm just wanting to make sure we don't do is make some stipulations that's going to affect any business, not just the one we're looking for.
Well, right now, and this, y'all tell me if I'm looking at this wrong, is that I feel like the directive that I've gotten from the Planning Commission is looking at self-storage.
Yeah.
So I'm staying focused on keeping
Okay.
whatever regulations it is limited to just that use.
Okay.
Unless
That's
y'all
just
tell me
what I wanted to
different.
make sure that we
Yeah,
were.
it's not for general.
Okay.
We're not messing
Not
with the
changing the
code
whole-
on
okay.
industrial. We're not
That's
going
all I
back
wanted
to
to
the
make
book.
sure. Yeah.
we're
Thank
not.
you.
No, this was just on.
Because if we look at the planned units in total, because I know not all these are built yet.
Right.
Then we look at your percentages you guys have on here, 21% of renters, 25% of single family. We're about, not quite 50, we're about 40 something percent oversaturated, I think, that's just saying with what's permitted and coming. So I do like the better, higher use of kind of nicer real estate if we can do it somewhere else.
No, and I don't know how we need to, if we need to ask you to take a draft. I mean, I personally like the distance from another self-storage unit
For
facility,
sure.
so we don't have a village.
Yes.
Right, so I particularly like that one, I also like the pervious surface, so that maybe there's some fencing, and then I like the kind of GC, maybe by not allowing a GC, but then thoroughfare and industrial, personally, keeping it to those two. Um,
Along the lines of the architectural design
Yeah.
elements, we could put some code in there that says can't garage doors or bays can't be seen from the main road through landscape buffers and longer entrance drives. So I think keeping it in thoroughfare commercial, I'd like to see setback and screen from the road in the thoroughfare commercial district as well.
Yeah. Very much so.
I mean, I personally like 1 and 3. Distance from the other and then limit it to industrial.
Now I'm fine with just being
Just-
industrial, to be
It
honest.
sounds cleaner to me. I mean, we have 3 huge ones. The North Ridge Drive one is complete, right? The one on Austin Grable.
Yes, ma'am.
That one's done, and it looks nice. And then the one we just approved at Jefferson Davis, that site plan looked very nice. And then the other one's behind Quick Trip, if I pulled the parcel up correctly. The stream storage, the 930 Edgefield Road.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So they haven't even broken ground or anything on that. Do they have a timeline? Do you know? Like, we haven't even done a site plan for them, I don't think.
We have
Y'all did
approved a
before
site
my
plan,
time.
if I believe. I don't remember. I don't believe that had to come to y'all.
Okay, good deal.
Well, let me ask this: is there anybody that's passionate about keeping them in thoroughfare commercial, or is everybody okay with just?
Well, going back to the new one on Jefferson Davis, obviously that's a blighted property and that's TC. I mean, we didn't change that zoning when we approved it.
Well, they had already gotten
Special
a
exception.
special exception already from the BZA. So it was out of our hands. Yeah.
And if there was a lot in general, they could still come for a waiver.
Can't vary a use.
Can't do a vary on it.
So, I mean, are you in favor of thoroughfare? And I will tell you, that was what made me think about it, was because, so we get that that's been blighted, but 10 years from now, 20 years from now, do we want the thoroughfare to be? Yeah.
Right. And I track, but that's a commercial area. So
that would be thoroughfare versus industrial. Whereas if they go further down, where the past, like the, Tommy can correct me, past where
Turn right at red light.
cars, yeah, turn right, then all of that's industrial, right? So it would just be a matter of them going up and over. So yeah, that's just. So there's plenty of industrial left. But I mean, that's a personal, and I also, probably because of the vote the last time, paid attention when driving in other parts of the state, and it's a lot of self-storage on highways, on thoroughfares, and I don't know.
Well, it's just prime real estate.
Yeah.
It may not be prime real estate now, but in 10 years, that very well could be prime real estate right there. So that's why I was thinking, to me, a storage building is an industrial feel. That's, I guess, my thought. And then when it comes to distance, do we need to say a distance? Like, we need to come up with a.
We will need a distance there and how that is measured. Is that something that y'all want to, or do you want me to do some more research?
So I'll say that so personally, if we were to keep it to industrial, then I think distance is less of an issue, right? But if it is thoroughfare, then I think distance does become an issue, because you don't want 2 blocks straight of it, right? Sure. So I think there's maybe kind of, let's do this. Let's take a stab at, given how you've heard us share what our sentiments are, what you think would be a choice, maybe A and B. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and what I'm hearing is you may want to keep them in thoroughfare commercial or may not, but if thoroughfare commercial, you'd want to put a distance. Industrial, you wouldn't.
Right.
And what that distance is, we don't know yet. And I'm also hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that y'all are leaning and doing away with them being in general commercial.
Yes,
Where's
Yes.
that?
definitely for that.
I would be good with industrial. Just thinking of, yeah. I do want to see highest and best use of what we do have out there. Do we have anything on the horizon we don't know about more storage units?
Not that I'm aware
Okay.
of. Now, having said that,
Tomorrow.
it could walk in the door tomorrow.
Well,
But we haven't been talking to anybody.
and let me say this, I think averages, we're gonna always potentially be a candidate for higher usage because of the military population as well, right? So a lot of them come with 20 years worth of storage.
And
from the
shrunks.
move. Right, so I just think that, and I think as more people have moved into this area, who, you know, then I think that's part of what we've been seeing in terms of demand.
Well, I know a lot of the proposed apartments are smaller-ish. They're not, big 3 bedrooms. So I do think, when you look at the percentages, we Americans like our junk, so we have to store it somewhere. But, if we have potentially 1,500 units based on these numbers, and we've got 2,800 planned, yeah, I don't know that we need to saturate it either.
But if Tommy, please don't also, I guess if we're industrial, I think some of the architectural, but the buffering things also become less of an issue.
Well, I think if we would say anything facing road frontage, maybe just, if you see it down the side, but if it's facing road frontage, maybe we could add some extra.
Would that be in the
Industrial.
industrial as well?
Do we have any requirements for for any of the other industrial uses to? Because I don't remember where they are if they are close to frontage, right?
And I don't remember an industrial use since I've been here, but I don't know of any. But whenever I ride in the industrial districts,
They're boxes.
all of those are been there a while, so it would have been before most of these regulations. Whenever it comes to industrial, we're talking about for self-storage, because we also want to be careful that we don't over-regulate and kick ourselves in the foot on recruitment of the industrial base.
Yeah, no, and but I think industrial, like they're very different considerations, because you do want everybody to park next to their unit for self storage, whereas industrial is going to want people typical, right? Is going to want people to park near where they have to come into work, right? So it's, I think, so I think looking at the requirements and setbacks, because I don't remember those for industrial, what the setback requirements.
I don't have that off the top of my head.
But it may be sufficient, right? I don't know what the setbacks are. It's probably sufficient, because you don't want to be
Because the complaint from citizens is we just have too many that we're all going to see with our naked eyes when we drive through North Augusta. So, if it's tucked back somewhere, we're not saying no to business. We're just, yeah.
When you look at the parcel behind QT, I mean, it's back there, and it's a little wedge shaped, it's like almost like what else would even, so it's like that was okay, but eventually North Augusta is going to run out of really good land, like prime real estate at some point. So where we have, like, our job is to keep it from not being all storage.
Just before, on your left, before you get to the BTC building, there's a Holly Lane over there. Next to store or something.
Oh, that grocery store.
There's a public storage sign out on the fence over there. So, it's just past where walking the road goes.
If you're getting off number 1 coming this way, when you come up to the stop sign, it's right there on the right. The rear yard and side yard setback in industrial is 25 feet. and the minimum is in 30 feet in the front.
That's a good little ways. Yeah. So then that may be.
And just so you know, the moratorium, you've got to hang your hat on something. Yeah, I think somebody asked about a moratorium for these. And a moratorium is only for a short snippet of time while you make regulations to accommodate it. And I don't know that the community saying, oh, we just got too many. I don't know that that would suffice for the legal challenge.
Yeah, so I think we've kind of come to somewhat of a agreement on what we like. So I think if we look at what it would look like to put it in industrial, I think that takes care of a lot.
All right. So what I'm hearing now is only in industrial.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if a rental
Yeah.
community does the math we're doing, they're going to come to the same conclusion. So, if I had units, I don't know that I would be knocking on the door right now.
And there's still
now.
Aiken County. I mean, somebody could
Yes.
still put them a little further.
But we got some coming in the county.
I'm sure.
No, there's right there on East Martintown.
Oh, yeah.
Find the donut.
I will try to craft something and put it together and have it for next month, and then y'all can scratch through it, trash it, manipulate it, and come out the other end.
Sounds perfect. And anything else you'd like to share? You all have been busy as always. So we thank you, and thank you for the follow up with both the Halo signs and this discussion on storage facilities. So appreciate your work on this. Is there?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right. Well, as always, we'd like to thank you and the rest of your team for helping us to grow into a better North Augusta. And with that, I would like to adjourn our meeting. So, all right. Thank you. All right. That's what you were scared you were going to be here.
Well, you was on the committee. Y'all have this one?